Good evening. It's Tuesday. It is the 17th, 18th of, I don't know. Hopefully this is working. I think it's saying live, but I'm not sure whether it's actually transmitting yet because it doesn't have a timer on it, and usually it does. Anyway, I hope you're all well. So fingers crossed. I'll just see whether I'm doing this from my phone as usual. Oh yes, I can see that there's one person watching. Excellent. And it's Christy. Hello, Christy. Wonderful. Thank you. I'm glad, very glad to know that it's all working. This is very good to know. And yeah, so as usual, it's been a very busy weekend. It's been wonderful though, and it's a beautiful evening too. I was about to nip out and see the sunset because it's just stunningly gorgeous out here. It's just about to go down just now, but then I realised it was 8 o'clock and I thought, oh right, I'd better crack on and get everything set up. As always, it's usually a little bit left to the last minute, but then that's what the wee creatures are like. And I wanted tonight, I think I'm going to take Alison Owen up on her suggestion and do a wee penguin chick. And not only a wee penguin chick, but perhaps a penguin chick with an Easter egg. Seeing as I'm getting ready now for the shop event on Friday. So I'll be posting pictures of the little grey sparkly Easter egg bunnies that I've been making today. There'll be pictures of those shortly, and in the meantime I shall crack on with this. As always, I'm on the phone but sort of peering over the top, and it's because it's in landscape rather than portrait, so it's quite hard to see any comments. So if I miss anybody or if I don't see your comment, my apologies in advance. I will just chunter on as usual. I'm sure I will catch you all up on what's been happening and what's going to be happening. But can I first of all just say what I say pretty much every time? It's like, how on earth can the time have passed so quickly? How can we be nearly or coming into the second half of April already? It's just a bit weird. It's very fast. The time is just flying by at a great rate of knots. Anyway, I've managed to sort of do some prep work. So I have some sparkly grey, silver clay, which actually bakes much darker than it looks here. That's why for the mice, when I make sparkly grey mice, I've actually mixed. This is the mouse clay. This is half and half the silver clay and the glitter white clay, and that just makes them a little bit paler. But for bunnies and penguin chicks, sorry, I'm just going over so I can show you. These are you get the first sneak peek of the little Easter egg bunnies that I've been working on. So these are the grey ones that have just literally come out of the oven. So that's one of them. There's obviously a set of 6 in rainbow colour, but you can see what the difference is in how much darker it cures. And I really quite like that finish for the bunnies and for the penguin chicks as it is. So, right, so tonight 6 grams of clay, of this glitter silver clay for a penguin chick. Now this particular batch of clay is actually quite soft, and it is warm in here too. I have in fact had the air conditioning. I have air conditioning. It's wonderful. I love this place. Yes, I've had the air conditioning on for the first time this year. It was about 23 degrees in here when that's centigrade. Just if anybody's working on Fahrenheit. Yes, it was 23 degrees when I got back from a walk, which was beautiful. It was out in the sunshine, and the wind was warm. It was a gentle breeze, and all the blossom on the tree. It's just such a wonderful time of year. I just love this time of year. And it's been a beautiful weekend as well. I know that you might have seen that I was away this weekend. Enrique sits on the committee for the Channel Swimmers Association because he swam the channel himself back in 2007, long before he and I met. But every year we go down to Dover. This year it was in Folkestone because the Dover Town Hall is being renovated at the moment. And yes, we go down for the gala dinner, the annual gala dinner, where all the prizes are awarded for those people who have completed it. I mean, I'm in awe of people who do it. It's just fantastic So yes, so they celebrate that, give out the awards, make a speech, have a bit of a celebration and a nice meal. So yeah, I get the joy of going down and well, just catching a free ride basically, which is quite good. But we drove down separately this time, and because I was off visiting people. I went to see Sarah on Saturday morning after staying with my aunt and saw my cousins on the Friday night in Sevenoaks, or just outside Sevenoaks, and then, or One Oak as it was after the the 1987 hurricane, but that's only for people of a certain age and in the UK. Anyway, so I went to see Sarah. It was wonderful. So met all her family, who are just gorgeous and lovely, and her gorgeous little pup Dexter. I've been spoilt for pups actually this weekend. It's been just superb, because not only I've just posted the picture of me and Scarlett, which was when I went to see Rosina in Norwich. So after seeing Sarah on the Saturday morning, I drove over to Folkestone. Then we had our meal out, and then on Sunday morning, I was driving over to Norwich. I know these won't mean anything if you're not from the UK, but it was all in all, it was about 600 miles of driving. So I know that we keep saying that the UK is really small, but actually it feels really quite big when you're going around, and it's like vast tracts of emptiness, really. I mean, there's, for all that, they say, oh, we're overcrowded, there's too many people. No, I don't think so, really. In some places there are, but really, on the whole, we live in a very expansive and spacious world. That's my own view. And as I've been talking, my hands have just been doing their thing, so I'm just making the little tail on the penguin chick. So yeah, I've never made a penguin chick holding anything, really. They come in two different kinds, actually, the penguin chicks. The first ones I made didn't have any feet and were a bit simpler, and just had wings marked on their bodies. And that meant, that I could make them more quickly, and they could be a little bit cheaper, etc., etc. So that worked out quite well. But when I made the glass iceberg penguin chicks, that was with Paul of Phoenix Glass, who made those gorgeous icebergs. Then yeah, the penguin chicks sprung wings and feet, and just, I mean, I love how the creatures evolve. I mean, they really do, and they're still evolving. I've just spotted an air bubble. There we go. Let's just get rid of that whilst again, I'm not very good at multitasking, so I'm sorry for squirreling myself on occasion. All I'm doing, right, you know how like penguin chicks have got like little fat bodies? So I try and create that impression by marking the head, dividing the head, but then you've got to really blend out the line so that it doesn't look like it's just been garroted. Bless, what a shame, what a shame. Well, I'm also going to give this penguin chick a pair of bunny ears, because of course he's going to be helping out the Easter bunny, even though Easter has been and gone. But it's always Easter and Christmas and Halloween in Quernus World. That's the way I look at it. All right, so that's the basic. I know it seems a very simple shape, but actually trying to get the proportions right, and he's got, sort of a fatter bum than most penguins do have, and it's sort of, he's not really based on a particular penguin chick. I suppose the closest one is the emperor penguin, but they have black heads. This one doesn't have a black head, so he's a Quernus penguin chick of the species Quernus. So and there's just a little bit of extra glitter there that was just pooling, or that was just looking a little bit ugly. Right, so yeah, so he's got to have like sort of, quite fat, chubby body, and it's just, sometimes I will lightly press him face down so that he gets it's slightly flatter on the front, because he's going to have an Easter egg pressed into his tummy. But before I do that, I'm going to give him his white head markings. So here's a sheet of white clay that I have rolled out earlier. Now this is where I do the very gentle pulling, which just really does, it makes it feel like icing actually, you know, rolled fondant icing. So it's kind of slightly, it's softer on top than it normally is. It's not, it stops going sticky, but it goes very fine, very thin. But you've got to be careful because it breaks quite easily. So I'm just making it as thin as possible because any extra thickness kind of just bulks them out. And then I use a heart-shaped cutter to get as clean a what do you call it, an outline, I suppose, as possible. I haven't even looked at any of the comments, so I am sorry, I am just wittering away in a wee world of my own. And actually I'm just realising, because what I need to do now is sort of gently pull the edges. These are for the eyes, and it's basically just elongating the heart, and it's very, very delicate stuff. Yes, I could use a larger heart-shaped cutter, but again, I need this clay to be as fine as possible, you know, as thin as possible, without, you know, showing through the clay underneath it. So it's delicate stuff, and there we go. So that's not bad, and I'm also trying to sort of make the shape not quite so heart-shaped, and then that bit, the corner gets trimmed. And also, this is where I sometimes use a little cutter from my pack pen collection. I have quite a lot of these, and all I'm doing is bringing you see how it's got that quite a shallow dip between the eyes, because the eye, you know, the actual shape, if you look at it, the mask, it's sort of the eyes go up quite high and then it comes round underneath the chin. So yes, just trying to just trim out a little bit more of that so that there's enough of a gap between the eyes. That probably did not make the least bit of sense. It's just as well I never listen again to these videos. Occasionally Enrique will ask to see it and I'll be like, no, it's too embarrassing because that's not how I sound and I just don't remember what I'm saying, and it is just absolute blethering on. Right, so it's all quite delicate work here. So now it will stick more, and I'm just trying to blend it out more, and I see I've got a little bit of flob at the bottom of his chin. That should roll out okay. And I will first of all use the edge of my clay shaper just to flatten it more, and also to tease out the edges more as well, because that's another way of shaping it. See, it's now bigger than it was before I put it on. And because I really want the markings to be absolutely integral. You know, I don't want it to look as though I've just stuck the eye markings onto the penguin chick, even though that is effectively what I've done. Right, okay, that's pretty good. Now, because this clay is quite soft, I think I did start saying that. I need to just keep reshaping his tiny little nudge of a tail, because even though I'm not handling it very much at all, it's incredibly, it's not forgiving, shall we say. It's very easy to go wrong with this. But now, this is what I've learned, and I applied it first with the owls, the tiny owls, who I really must make more owls because they're so cute. Ball shaper, I've got lots of different shapes of these ball shapers. Now, this is where I'm trying to press the eye socket to the very edge of the white, so that it actually creates more of an eye socket. Now, it may seem, I don't know, maybe it looks quite simple, but it's actually quite tricky to get that smoothly done, because I don't want to leave him looking. Another air bubble. Oh, I can just see that there. You see, that little dark mark is actually an air bubble, not a speck. So I'll just push that gently up from underneath. That should close the hole. Anyway, sorry, back to the eye holes. Because I'm pressing into it with the ball shaper, it creates a crater, basically, and I don't want a crater. Well, I do, but I want a smooth crater. So I've then got to very lightly blend out the edges whilst keeping the shape. So it sort of goes in at the eye bits, but then smooths out for the bottom of him. That's okay. And I often check him from above and behind, so I can see if there's any bits which sort of stick out. Right, and he's also going to have a beak, obviously, but so far, so penguin chick. Right, now this is where I do his beak, and I use a pack pen just for the cutter, and actually I think that's going to be too big. So this is just to make sure that I have the right amount of clay. I'm not putting a circular beak on him. I have rolled out some clay, not to the thickest setting, but just to a little bit there. And whilst I'm about it, actually, because black clay you want to not handle as much as possible when you're against the other ones. It's another little heart shape. Actually, I need to cut that down a little, roll it out a little bit more. I think just down to 3. Sorry, that's the thickness setting, because he needs to have very, quite thin feet. Feet? Yes, they are called feet, aren't they? And then I will gradually just tease them in so that they go together into a foot shape and less of a heart shape. So they've got toes rather than the lugs of the heart. Right, okay, so that's for later. And of course, I've got some black clay residue on the table, so clear that away. And then this tiny little plug of black clay I am going to make into a beak, and it's very similar. It's the same process that I use for making the normal penguin beaks, but they're a lot bigger. So basically I'm just pinching with the tips of my fingers on either side to form it into a beak shape. It's quite fiddly. But then so much is, I'm so enjoying going small these days. I'm making many smaller creatures and smaller accessories, etc. So that's his beak. Now I'm going to position it where I want it, but not stick it on yet. And then I'm going to mark out where the eye holes go, which should really be in the centre of the depression. And you see, look, I mean, already he's just instantly come alive. I mean, wow, clay is just, I just love polymer clay. It's magic. Oh, and let's get his little tail. The more that it's actually quite good, because the more that it slightly mashes into the floor every time I set him down. Oops. That's why I don't glue on the tail yet. The beak. Yes, it just helps to shape it. It just gives it a more natural shape rather than me just, carving one out, as it were. And the good news about using glitter clay is that the flob, you do get flob still, but it's not quite so noticeable. And that's where I'm just going to, again, even out the eye sockets a bit. And now he's going to have his eyes. So I'll get my 2mm beads for him. Move that out the way. Here we go. The bead moment, where I have to select exactly the right, 2 sizes of beads. And I'm diving down and peering over my glasses, so hopefully you won't get my head in the way, but it's the best way that I have found for finding the right measurements. Can you see the difference in size there. These are both meant to be 2mm beads. They clearly aren't, but that's why I spend so much time rootling around just to get exactly the right size. And because he's just a wee penguin chick, he needs smaller eyes than normal. So let's just, when I say normal, I mean like for the mice and things like that. So I'm just trying, no, you see that's so big. This could take some time. Oh no, we have a winner. We have a winner. Right. Oh, finally. Excellent. Right. So I'll put that to one side. Use my needle nose pliers, just to hold on to the bead. And then it's dropping it. Well, it's not really dropping it, I'm placing it, but I'm trying to, making sure that I don't get the points of the pliers, that they don't touch the clay, because if they do, then it's quite hard to sort of blend out the markings. Yeah, the markings. Right, now quickly put them away, put the lid back on so that they don't escape. Oh, I know I always tell you about the nightmare stories when I've actually spilt those eye beads and thousands of eye beads go everywhere, and it's just awful. Anyway, so now this is, again, because the clay is really soft, I'm doing my best. I'm having to do this really quite slowly and not putting too much pressure on the back of the head so the back of the head doesn't get misshapen. There we go. And the same again on this side. I mean, really, the movements are so small. There we go. And it's not pushed all the way in because then it wouldn't look natural. Right. Hey, he's starting to come to life totally now. So he's got his eyes in. I'll just give them another quick dict. I'm listening to a new author, a crime set in Aberdeen by, I think his name's Stuart McBride, might be, but it's really good. So I'm listening to these audiobooks, and the guy who narrates it is brilliant. He's just got all the Scottish accents off pat. So if you hear me getting a wee bit more Scottish, that's why, because I'm just listening to Aberdonian footlock. Yeah, anyway. Oh, I really will not listen back to this. I am sorry for the witters. Right, okay, a little bit of liquid clay just to secure the beak, because now I can fix that on. Now that the eyes, because I don't, if the beak was put on first, then I wouldn't be able to push in the eyes so easily. So I place the beak just to get the position for where the eyes should go, and then I remove it, and then it's got to be so carefully pressed into place. And it's more of an art, it's definitely an art to work out how, because the slightest movement of the clay can really change the expression. It's quite remarkable. I love it. So all the time I'm kind of looking at him from every angle, just to make sure that the head is the right shape, that the eyes are still in proportion. Like I see now that I need to push the eyes in a little bit more. They could have actually been a little bit smaller, but by pushing them in a wee bit more, that makes them a little bit smaller, because more of them disappears into the back of the clay. So that's okay. Right. And his wee tail's still doing okay, still doing well. Yeah, he's looking pretty cute, I have to say. Yeah, and then just, again, it's just a wee tease here, and a wee pull there, and a wee sweep up there, and it's amazing how so little can have such a major effect. It's wonderful. Right, I'm now going to give him his wee smile. Now this is quite close work. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but I'm doing this peering over my glasses. So that's just a tiny little dot in at the edge of the beak. And that instantly gives him a wee smile, but I don't know that you can see it because it's, you know, on the camera. But anyway, he's got his wee smile now. Right, now he needs to get his feet on. He's quite a chubby wee chap, this one. And I will probably keep on just slightly pressing in because his top of his head needs to be a little bit more pointed, but not round, you know. I'll just keep, he'll keep emerging for want of a better term. Right, and now I'm going to give him his feet, and because if he just perched on top of them, he would just sit. I need to cut off a little angle, and it's from front to back at that angle. Same again. There we go. But before I put his feet on, actually he needs to have his legs marked. Oh, clear away that. So this is, does he? Yeah, he does. So I'm kind of just giving him a little bit of a leg definition, because they're, you know, I'm just thinking happy feet here. You know, they're just chubby. They're wee and chubby, and they're just lovely, very cute. And so it's less of an indentation than I give for like the bunnies, for example, because it's all covered up with fur, not fur, feathers, the fluffy down stuff. Right. Okay. And I'll bring the bottom of his legs in a little bit because his feet now are going to go out at the outside. Medium extender again. These look more like wings, but I'm sure it'll all look fine once he's on, because he's going to get separate wings as well. So just imagining where his feet would go and then lightly pressing them in at the bottom. Alright, so there we go. So he's got his little feet on now, and he just needs his wings now because he's going to be holding on to an egg. So I'm just using an oval cutter to cut them out. Now before I go any further, I'll need to press an egg into him. So I think I'll give him a pink egg. So it's bigger than he is, just about. And again, I'm kind of lightly pressing him into it, so it's an equal force coming together so that I don't deform him, but it sits in well enough. Yeah, that's fine. And you see there's quite an indentation now where his egg's going to go. And then I will just glue the egg on with a touch of original high-tack, all-purpose, very sticky glue. Just white PVA basically, but a bit stickier than usual. This survives the oven really well, much better than, say, the clear Yoo-hoo stuff that you get. So I will usually use it for attaching things to the creatures. And it doesn't ever, well, rarely, I don't think I have actually ever had to re-stick the glue afterwards. And then he's going to have his wings, so he's going to be holding on to these eggs, and because I'll turn them upside down, and again I'm just going to shape them as I did his feet by just cutting an angle, 45-degree angle pretty much. There we go. And that means that the wings will come out from his body rather than just being stuck on his body, if that makes sense. There we go. Medium extender again. And also a wee touch of glue at the ends of his flippers. Flippers? Or just wings? I don't know, they must be, actually they're probably flippers, aren't they? Because they don't use them to fly. So, and then it's just positioning. And you see how that, doing the 45-degree angle has really helped make it look more integral to the body. All these things that you learn over years and years of making wee creatures, it's quite something. I should write a book. Right, okay. And also what happens, the other great benefit of tapering the edges is that it's easier to blend them in to the body. So then they look quite, you know, all in. Right, there's a wee penguin chick with his egg. But I think, what do you think? I've not looked. I don't know who's watching, but should I give him a pair of Easter bunny ears? I think I probably should, shouldn't I? Although it's 8:30 now. No, I am going to give him some wings. Some wings. Ugh. You know what I mean. Ears. So here's some white glitter white clay that I have rolled out earlier. Here is some of the inner bunny ears that I have rolled out. And I'm just using my oval cutter just to mark that out. Sorry, this is just for the insides of the ears. I've only recently started using the small oval cutters for this, because it's just, before I had to cut them out individually if I was using the small ears. But here I can just, you know, again, lightly deform it so that it will fit nicely inside the ear itself without too much hassle. And there we go, just pulling that out a little bit as well, and then on that goes. That's pretty even. And he'll obviously need to have a little band to put, you know, like a headband, so the bunny ears can sit on that. And maybe I should do that with, yes, I think it needs to be with glitter white rather than plain white. Glitter white doesn't cure brilliant white, so I don't often use it for, you know, like I use the plain white for his eye markings, for example. So it's just, but I can use this for the headband, because then it'll look like it's been bought in a shop. That's the theory anyway. So cutting a small thin strip so that it can then go over his head, over his ears, where his ears would be. Make sure they're equidistant at either side. So that's the actual headband. And then to shape the ears themselves, I use my trusty clay shaper and just roll it around. I've got, you know, for the larger bunny ears, I use a mold that I made myself, which is just a, you know, well, I'm sure I've showed you before, but that's what I use for using the bigger bunny ears. So I've just cut out or stuck onto some scrap clay a raised bit, which then goes onto the bunny ear, and the bunny ear gets shaped around it. But I haven't done that yet for the small bunny ears, and maybe I don't need to, because it's it works out okay with the clay shaper for rolling it around and making sure that it's all, you know, as depressed in as it needs to be, pushed in. It's definitely not depressed. How could a wee Easter egg penguin chick be depressed, you know? So of course, you know, when I'm going to have to make the full set with all 6 Easter eggs, so I'll work on them tomorrow. But they're going to be so cute. I mean, really, and I'll have them looking at each other, and, you know, because they're cheeky. They just like to do things. Right, so now I am pinching the ear together, keeping it as thin as that band. Same again here. lightly pushing it in. And it can actually, it can be like folded in quite far up. There we go, that'll do, I think. And then I just carefully nick off the bottom, just where the bottom of the tail comes in, and then a little bit of this is very good actually for keeping ears on the creatures. They don't often fall off with this stuff, thank goodness. But when they do, they can be fixed, but it's mortifying if they do. Anyway, right. And then it's just a question of putting them on. Now, they don't have to go in sort of proper bunny ear formation, because it is, they are, you know, bunny ears that come out from a toy shop. A sweet thing. Oh, I kind of want to give him a little bunny tail as well, maybe. I'll have to think about that though. Right, I just need to quickly push in the ears to fix them. I don't want to do too much to them again, because it's handling the clay, and he can have slightly more rounded bunny ears. And I'll just gently push in the bottom of it. Make sure that that's all as well connected as it needs to be. And sometimes I will use this just to shape the clay round the ears and really, you know, blend the bunny ears to whatever it's, you know, whether it's a bunny itself or whether it's a headband, a bunny headband. But that'll be pretty sturdy. And then just to make even more sure, then I will often just put a little layer of the extensor medium, and that really seals the deal, quite literally. There we go. And that's him. So we have a little penguin chick with bunny ears. Oh, sorry, but it's just, he is ridiculously cute. Oh, I love it. I love that they can still make me smile after all these years. It's wonderful. Right. Well, thank you for... Oh, I haven't signed him yet, have I? I must sign him. So let's get my tiny little QC cane, of which I cut off a very thin sliver. And then, there we go. That's it upside down, actually. It's back to front there. So by sticking it on his bottom that way round, then it will be the right way round after that. And then hit the little ball shaper just to push it in. And yeah, our little bunny, our little penguin chick bunny is finished. So thank you very much for coming along and watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you to Alison for suggesting it. And I'm looking forward to making more little penguin chicks with bunny ears tomorrow with all the rest of the penguin, the eggs, it's not penguins, with the Easter eggs that I've got. And of course I can't resist fiddling a little bit with his little cute little tail. But yeah, he probably doesn't need a bobtail because he's got his bunny ears. That's just, yeah, that's pretty cute. Right, I shall love you and leave you. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and thank you so much for joining me. I will now catch up with your comments once I've cleared up and gone home. So thank you for joining me, and I shall see you again soon. All right, bye-bye.